Welcome to Daily Persuasion. I'm your host, Joshua Lisec, the New York Times bestselling author, co-author, and now a ghostwriter of 96 nonfiction books on all topics you can imagine, including those you can't. I'm also a professional and certified hypnotist, and it's through this one-of-a-kind lens I help you realize what's really going on in current events so that you can better influence the VIPs in your own life and career. The New York Times editorial board had the other day a disturbing piece of propaganda that came out regarding President Donald Trump and the so-called attacks on transgender people, and we are going to discuss this. Now, it is, in my own experience, speaking in Trump world, attending Trump events and going behind the velvet rope to the VIP section, as tends to happen with characters like me, for obvious reasons. We meet what? We meet a lot of trans people. We meet a lot of gay people. The right, the new right, I should say, is what you would call a big tent of people who have deep disagreements on a number of very important topics, yet ultimately we all want the same things. My own personal ideology, I like to call middle-class nationalism. Imagine a family, 2 kids, maybe 3 kids or more. Parent stays home with the kids as they grow up. Other parent works, support the family on one income. Wow. They have a nice house, nice yard for the kids, safe neighborhood. Kids can ride their bikes around without fear. They have friends. It's a good life. They can afford to go on vacation. And when they go on vacation, they can go to a nice restaurant. And when they go to that nice restaurant on vacation, mom and dad don't have to look at the menu and worry about the prices. They can just pick things. That is middle-class nationalism. That is what I'm about. And that, I believe, is what Trump and Vance are advancing in the United States for as many people as possible. It's why I'm here. It's why I do this. It's why I write these books. It's why I go to these events. I'm a middle-class nationalist. That said, a lot of people agree with what I just said. A lot of straight people, obviously, but a lot of trans people, a lot of gay people as well. Marco and Georgie want to bring their dog. They have these cute little rainbow-colored suspenders. This is a true story, by the way. I met Marco and Georgie with their little dog at a Trump event. These rainbow, it was June, so they were wearing these little gay pride, what do you call them? Suspenders. It was cute. Both these weird little clear glasses. Sometimes stereotypes are accurate and correct. Of course, there's Scott Pressler. Among trans people, there's Ollie London, of course. There's Blair White. Sarah Higdon. When you talk to a liberal, they have no idea who any of these people are, despite how radically influential they are on the American right, the new right, among Republicans for Donald J. Trump. They have absolutely no idea. This is what Scott Adams calls 2 movies on one screen. I think our movie, the right-wing movie, is actually more inclusive than what the inclusive, equity, diverse people who are going off about are. Now, to the New York Times, let's talk about this little piece. So it's a picture of Donald Trump with a raised fist. It's black and white, of course, and he's stomping on top of a what looks to be slashed up, cut up transgender pride flag. And the headline says, America will regret Trump's attacks on transgender citizens. Let's spot the propaganda. Well, first thing is that will regret is a threat and an instigator. We explain why it's an instigator in Bulletproof, which Jack Posobiec and I co-authored. It's the first and the only book covering the truth about the assassination attempts on President Donald J. Trump. There is a chapter called The Motive. That if you want to understand this, you've got to check out The Motive in Bulletproof. It's on the Newsmax bestseller list right now, by the way. Now, the context of this is that there has been a string of transgender people who have done mass bang-bangs recently, including the targeting of Donald J. Trump administration, including the Treasury Secretary. This is all over news, like real news, not opposition media that doesn't cover this stuff, or also doesn't mention that the person was a transgender individual. So the fact that they use the word attacks implies the need for defense, if not counteroffensive. Citizens, in the headline, on transgender citizens, they use the word citizens to make Trump feel like he's anti-US. And of course, he's got his back turned to us in the picture, so he's literally turning his back on US citizens. And he's got his hand raised like he's waving, but it's a little pick trick to mimic a fascist salute, which is what they believe. They literally believe that Trump and Musk are doing these Nazi salutes out there, of course. They've got these boot prints, like jack boot prints, all over the trans pride flag, which never actually happened, of course. But they want to put it in your mind to sort of rewrite history and make you see it. It's propaganda, obviously. It's mass manipulation. And then the flag has perpendicular cut marks on it. If you know, you know. So our conclusion is that the New York Times editorial board is engaged in mass manipulation that, in the context it's in, reveals what I believe to be intentional yet plausibly deniable instigation of real-world physical and violence against President Donald J. Trump, his administration, his staff, and of course his supporters, people like me. And we explain all of this. We explain the root of the assassination attempts on Donald J. Trump and the murder of Cora Compatore. The roots of it are directly in the media and its influencer space. Of course, the editors of the New York Times have had a number of things to say about me personally that have been negative. Again, bulletproof, the motive if you want to see what's really going on and what to do about it. There was, at the same time as this story came out, there was this other piece, apparently this city of Worcester, or Worcester, depending on what part of the country you're from, in which they say that we are a sanctuary city for transgender people. Okay. Trans people are perfectly safe in Trump world at these events, at the administration. But then they'll say, well, I don't feel safe. It feels transphobic. Well, the United States military, which is now barring future transgender people from joining, they have a lot of standards of what they require, what they demand of their people. It's okay for them to discriminate. They can do whatever they want. What creates troop morale? The goal of the military is to win battles, to win wars. And in the winning of wars, you have to make decisions. They have to, and it's, will this help us win the battle or lose it? Is this good for each individual soldier, for the fighting force, for the morale, for the unity, for the teamwork, for the brotherhood, or is it bad for it? That is the decision point. And a lot of people are going to get pissed off. A lot of groups are going to say, not cool. And over time, rules can change as needed, but you have to understand that that is the point. That is the priority. Now, there was, during one of these events for this transgender sanctuary city, behind one of the speakers, a trans character it looks like, is a sign. And the sign says, in red, it's always in red, in all caps, I see you. It's like a horror movie, right? I see you. Silence equals death. Okay, more violence threats from those characters. It's as if it's saying, I mean, it is, I see you. Say something to support us, or be silent, or else. That lost at the ballot box. Unfortunately, a lot of people have lost their lives over it. So to all of these people advocating for your side, I don't really care.